YouTube. Today we're going to talk about changing your cylinder head thermostat hose, which is a part of a cooling system on a 2008 528i BMW. Production number is E60. The motor type is a N52. Before we talk about what actually took place, I'll give you a little bit of background as far as the symptoms and what I noticed. It originally started with small puddles in my driveway. And in my garage, couldn't quickly identify exactly where the leak was coming from. So I didn't know if it was the coolant system. I didn't know if it was brake fluid. Didn't know if it was power steering fluid. I could tell you that the consistency and the smell of the fluid didn't quickly point to oil or any type of, I guess, oil-based substance. I'm not a mechanic, so I can't really tell you. I just know how to turn a wrench. Anyway, the following day, I'm driving my car and I'm at my favorite fast food restaurant, and I noticed billows or puffs of steam coming from under the hood. When I pulled over, I quickly was able to identify exactly where the leak was coming from. And the leak was coming from that hose, okay? Initially, I didn't know what the hose was called, didn't know the part number, so I got on my favorite forum, beamerfest.com. A couple of guys directed me to Real OEM, and in there I was able to identify the part and the part number. I ended up going to the dealership and I received the part. The part was 42 bucks, and I think it was 24 bucks for a gallon of BMW fluid. Okay, so where did I see the leak? If you can see here, this is the hose. This is the cylinder head thermostat hose, okay, and it runs all the way down. We'll follow it in just a minute, but I want to show you where the leak was. The leak was actually coming from this area, okay? Now, I already replaced the parts. I did this last night. It was dark, so I didn't want to try to film it, but today I'm doing another inspection just to make sure I don't have any leaks or anything like that. Okay, so this is the part, and as you can see, there's a screw here, and then there is a screw here, okay? Here's the old part. At the base of the new part, you can see a plastic, I don't know what it's called, a coupling. And then this coupling has two lips. One lip that goes inside the motor that has an O-ring on it, and the other lip actually attaches and is clamped to the hose. When I took this off, I'm going to tell you, my car, by the way, has 94,000 miles. If you're having a leak at 94,000 miles, do not attempt to just replace the O-ring. Go ahead and do yourself a favor. Replace the hose. It's probably time to do a complete overhaul, as I will probably need to do on my car. But the plastic coupling, if you can see in there, that's part of it. It broke. It didn't break coming off or trying to take the hose off. It just, I guess from the heat of the engine, just dry rotted and became really, really brittle, and it broke. The other lip that goes inside of the engine, where the O-ring is, was also broken. Very bad thing. Very, very bad thing. So thank God I was able to go ahead and replace it, get a new part, and get that underway. Now, as I mentioned, I've already changed out this hose. But a couple of people asked me on the forum, how did I change the hose? Did I have to remove the water pump and the thermostat to get it done? Actually, no, I did not. So, what I want to attempt to do is show you where this hose traveled to. Now, I am doing an inspection of my car right now, so I do have the bottom dust plate off of the car, so I'll show you exactly where the hose connects from the bottom of the car. So here we are. I just got a piece of clothes wire to help you kind of trace the hose. So as you can see, the hose comes down. Here, I need to replace this. It's actually really brittle. It's the hose clamp. But here, where the two white lines are, is the new hose. So if I go all the way and I follow this down, let me see if I can get just a little bit more light down there for you. You're probably not going to be able to see it that well, but that's okay. We'll get to the bottom of the car and I'll be able to show you better. But starting again from the two lines, we go all the way down, and you will see a little silver clip. okay? And actually, the clothes hanger is actually touching that clip. That is the hose clamp. What I decided to do, that was one of the hardest parts, was getting the hose clamp off. Because of the way that it was positioned, I actually had to loosen it from under the car. It took a 6mm. I used a little box wrench to get it open, which was horrible. You can't really get anything else in there because the space is so compacted, so it took a little bit of time to get that off. However, once I got it off, I took a screwdriver and pried the clip back. Once I got the clip back, I was able then to come to the top of the car, okay? And this is the important part. This is what a lot of people ask me. I was able to come to the top of the car and remove the hose and then install the new hose from the top. Two ways you can have that done. One way is to remove your expansion tank. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to lose a lot of fluid, so I didn't remove the expansion tank. Actually, what I did is, if looking at the motor, give you kind of a perspective of where this is. Here's your oil housing unit. There's your intake. Here's your engine block. Here's your expansion tank. And now I'm on the passenger side of the car. I was actually able, and I got skinny hands. I don't know if everybody that, if you got large hands, you might not be able to do this, but I was able to get down here and grab the hose. I'm actually holding the hose right now, okay? So I was able to actually pull it to free it, and then as I installed the second hose, I was able to reach down from this side of the car and push the new hose on, okay? Now, to help it, I actually put a lid of antifreeze on it to kind of help lubricate the hose to get it to slide on easily. That part, believe it or not, was not that complicated. The hose kind of just slipped onto it, okay? So once I did that, what I did was I went under the car and I made sure I positioned the hose, the clamp, so that I'm able to access it from the top of the car. So the clamp screw, which is a flathead screwdriver, or a 6 millimeter bolt, is pointing upward. I can easily get to it either using an extension on a socket, or I actually have a really long screwdriver that I was able to get down in there and tighten the clamp up to make sure everything was okay. Alright, so now that I kind of explained what happened on the top side, I'm going to take you under the car now to show you exactly what it looks like, what parts are what, and how I was able to actually free the clamp. Now, like I said, the bottom dust plate is already removed, and you guys just bear with me. It's pretty tight under here. As you can see, I got the car jacked up on ramps, but let me get under here real quick and position my light so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Alright, so let's kind of talk about a little bit about what we're looking at. Here, this is my electric water pump, okay? Next to that is a, let me get it in focus, come on, damn smartphone, focus. Alright, here, this big black piece, that is your thermostat. The hose that, let me see if I can get it, the hose that we're looking at, this is the clamp. That is the bottom of the clamp. That's where the hose actually connects to the thermostat. I was able to take a screwdriver. First, well, I had to take an open box wrench, and as you can see, that's the hose, that's the thermostat, that's my clamp. I was able to take a box wrench, kind of maneuver it this way to get to the clamp, okay? And then when it came time to pry it off, there's a little shield that's right here. Let's see if I can show it to you. This plastic housing has a screw that's connected on the, what is that, the the passenger drive well. I removed that shield, this shield, and I was able to position a screwdriver here to be able to pry the clamp back. Okay, so once I pried the clamp back, I was able to go back on top of the car, and then I was able to actually remove the old hose and install the new hose. Okay, so once again, just to recap, we're under the car. This is my oil pan. It's kind of dirty and it tells me that I got some crud. So it's probably time for me to go ahead and replace the oil pan gasket. It's pretty nasty under here. And then here's my water pump. Again, my car has 94,000 miles. I don't really know if this pump has been replaced or not, and it is so out of focus, but the hell with it. This is, like I said, the water pump. I don't know if it's still the original one or not. I know I probably need to replace it just so I won't have a failure on the road. And then this is your thermostat. Now, because it's so, the quality is not as clear, I'm gonna recommend that you go out to real OEM, put in the last 6 digits of your VIN. Once you put in the last 6 digits of your VIN, you would actually see a diagram to kind of explain all of this and better. So you'll actually be able to see exactly where that hose connects and where it connects to the thermostat, and you're able to go from there. All right, so that is from under the car. Again, 2 times I actually came under the car. One was to pull the clamp, and to pull the clamp back, kind of easily pried it off. Didn't want to move it too much because that is my car's cooling system. And then 2, I came back down to make sure that the clamp was positioned correctly over the lip of the thermostat and that the hose was snug. Okay, I didn't tighten the clamp down here. I actually tightened it from top, but I wanted to ensure that everything was good, snug, and tight. All right, so bear with me. I'm going to get from under this tight ass car and just continue the video from the top. There's my under shield. I just slid it to the back. As you can see, it had a couple of screws. You can figure that out. Just look on YouTube, or look on YouTube and you'll figure out how to take that apart. Now, once I remove the hose, I can tell you there's going to be some leakage, or you're going to lose some antifreeze. You're going to lose about a quart, maybe a quart and a half once you undo this section, and then you're going to lose additional antifreeze when you undo the bottom portion of the hose. I saw a really cool trick on YouTube where the gentleman actually connected the new hose. We're just going to pretend like this is the new hose. He went ahead and secured it here and then put the other end into a jug, a gallon jug. And then from that point, he was able to blow in the hose, the old hose that was connected to the thermostat like this, blow to push out most of that fluid so you won't lose as much fluid. Okay, so once that was done, it's recommended that you go ahead and bleed the cooling system. If you don't know how to bleed the cooling system, you can simply Google it, you know, bleeding cooling system on BMW, put in your production number, and you'll get the series of steps to complete the bleeding process. The bleeding process takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And actually what you will be able to see, I'll go ahead and just tell you this. I didn't want this video to be too long, but I'll go ahead and tell you this. In this reservoir, you'll actually see fluid or coolant shooting out as part of the bleeding system. Okay, that's going to run several times, and then eventually it will stop. So once the bleeding system was complete, I needed to go ahead and top off the expansion tank just to make sure that my dipstick was up, which indicated that the reservoir was full. To test it, to make sure I did not have any leaks, I went ahead and cranked up the car. I let the car get up to operating temperatures. When it was at the operating temperatures, I actually inspected my point here to make sure there were no leaks, which I don't have, and then I actually left the car on ramps and inspected the bottom hose fitting to make sure I didn't have any leaks there. That was okay, so I went for a quick drive around the block. Not too far, not too fast. I would say I never got over 30 miles per hour. Came back and inspected it again. Yes, no leaks. Then I decided to take it out for a drive, getting the car up to at least 70 miles per hour and maintaining that. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, because if something would have bust, I think my heart would have dropped, but it didn't. Came back, re-inspected it, everything was fine. So that was last night. The job took total, because it was my first time doing it, about an hour and 30 minutes. Now that I know how easy it is to replace this hose, I can probably do it within 30-45 minutes, and that includes the bleeding process. One last thing you would want to do, and I just do this just for my assurance. Like I said, my water pump and my thermostat, I'm not really sure if that's the original ones on it or not, but I actually have the Clary diagnostic tool, and I have the ODB2 port connection. I went ahead and ran a quick diagnostics just to make sure that I don't have any fault codes related to the pump, and I did not. The other thing I did was kind of grab, as I was going through the bleeding process, I grabbed this hose to make sure I could feel pressure. It's low pressure. It's not going to be a high pressure flush or bleeding system, but you should be able to feel it throughout your hoses. Well, that's it. Thanks you for watching, and if you have any questions, I don't know if I'll have answers, but I'm pretty sure I can ask the guys at beamerfest.com, and they'll be able to provide a little bit more clarity. And again, just remember, you're working on your car's cooling system. I would proceed with caution and ensure that you're doing everything correct. Okay? Thanks. Bye.